So it's prepping. Okay, it looks like it's streaming live now, so you should be able to see it. You pull up my page. Yes, it popped in. Okay, there we are. I see us. Yay. Hello, everybody out there in Facebook land, family, friends. And if we don't know you, we want to get to know you to become family or friends. My name is Barbara Beckley, and I'm on my personal page, but my business page, I am the CEO and founder of the Diamond Factor LLC. Okay, and because I know your phone's echoing into here. So again, my name is Barbara Beckley, CEO, founder of Diamond Factor, and just love everybody. So I'll just make it that clear. So right now I am so excited. Now, as everybody, if you were on my page Saturday, or if you got to share and you've seen some wonderful, wonderful males, Black males talking, I call them kings, and they were talking Saturday, and we were having just a conversation of awareness regarding the injustice and a lot of things that's going on around in the world regarding it. Set it off again with another king that died, and basically I say he was murdered. A lot of other people have different takes on it, but that's my take. Okay, and just to let everybody know that in the last few weeks, we all have been filled with devastating news. Stories about police killing Black people. At this point, these have been very familiar, especially in the Black and brown community. So familiar that they're echoing over and over again in our minds and our hearts, unfortunately. So like in July 2014, a cell phone video captured some of Eric Gardner's final words. New York City police officers sat on his head and pinned him to the ground on the sidewalk while he was saying, "I can't breathe." Then on May 25th, just a few weeks ago this year, the same words were spoken by George Floyd, who pleaded for release as the officer put his knee on his neck, pinned him down to the ground in the Minnesota streets. So I wanted this platform not so much to fight or anything like that about anything, but to give you some perspective, to give you some voices from our Black and brown women and men. And on Saturday, I'm going to be bringing a mixture, a minority of people, of men coming on Saturday. So I want to make sure that you hear, and this is the biggest thing I ask people, that you just hear what we have to say. May disagree or not disagree, but this is where we're at right now. And I feel like they said knowledge is powerful. So this is what we want to use this platform for. So with that, I'm going to be, well, I'm not going to be quiet. I'm the one that's moderating. So I'm going to be doing the majority of the questions to these wonderful ladies. But before I even do that, everybody's looking at their wonderful faces, but they're like, I don't know who they are. So I'm going to have them introduce themselves. So I'm going to start off with Miss April. Can you just a 30-second introduction to everybody? Uh-oh, you're on mute.
Yeah, it's okay. Hi, everyone. My name is April Bonney. I am a military spouse. We have a blended family. We have 4 children. They're all in elementary school, so it's been crazy with this virus, trying to get their homework and stuff done. I was also in the military myself. I was in for 17, as you were, 11 years in the Marine Corps. My husband's in for 17 so far. He is overseas currently. He is in Japan right now, and he won't be home until December. So kind of going through all of this craziness with him kind of far away has been interesting. We're also a mixed family. My husband is white. And we have 1 child together, and we are blended with the other 3. So very happy to be here and share my background.
Hi, Barbara. We couldn't hear you, but hi, I'm assuming you said Latisha. Reading lips. But hi, everyone. My name is Latisha Jackson Gibbs. I am a mom of four, a grandmother of one. I am currently in the financial services industry. My husband and I build a business together, and we just like to help educate other singles as well as couples build a legacy of their own for generations to come.
I need to unmute. Next queen on the panel is Miss Tonya.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me? I am Tonya Easter. My husband was on last Saturday's panel. His name is Kelvin Easter. He's a senior pastor, and we lead a church in Park Forest, Illinois called Destined to Win Christian Center. We have two wonderful, strong-minded, lead children, to be 24 and to be 22, college-age children. So I don't know what else to say after that. They're beautiful children. They are forward thinkers. I'm glad to be among the ladies on this panel this evening. So I'm looking forward to hearing what everyone has to say as we talk about what's going on in this country today. So thank you, Barbara, for having me.
And I'm so glad that you are here to be a support and on the panel with everybody else. So let's go with Miss Mabel, Dr. Mabel.
Hi, thank you for having me. I'm Dr. Mabel Swaby. I am a retired educator. I am now the CEO and founder of Cherish Dreams Counseling. I am the mother of four, one is deceased, and I am the grandmother of 19, the great-grandmother of 5. And if you're looking shocked, I just had a birthday on Friday. I am now 74 years old, and I am the boss of you. And I'm thankful to be able to observe what's going on. I was involved in 1967. We had a similar thing in Newark, New Jersey. So I was very much aware. At that time, I was 21 when we had the riots, and you can Google it. Okay, that's it for me.
Oh my God, I just have to say, I don't know what else to say. This is awesome. We got a diva in the room here and have a lot of knowledge. Yes, thank you, Dr. May and Dr. Mabel, for everybody that, just to remind everybody. So now Mrs. American Mom, go for it.
All right, can everybody hear me?
Yes.
All right. I want to thank you, Barbara, for this opportunity to be here on this platform, and want to say hello to all the other guests as well. I am LaChelle Adkins, otherwise known as America's Supermom. My husband and I have 15 children, and I am a lifestyle designer. I struggled with depression in the past, so I help empower women to overcome limiting beliefs so that they can live a life that is one that they dreamed of, and that is just the best version of themselves. And I also am a podcast host, so I'm happy to be here today.
Okay, so we got all the introductions out there. So everybody, you got to know these fabulous women, and a lot of knowledge here, a lot of wisdom. So we're just gonna get right to it so we can get that wisdom going. First, before I start, if people have not, please, and I ask my panelists to do this too, if you could share out this video and click to say hi, please put your comments in. We want to hear your comments. We want to see that you're engaging. And if you share, because the biggest thing, like I said, this is about being aware, being understanding, getting more knowledge. So if you can share out to your groups or your own personal page, we truly, truly, truly appreciate it. Okay, so I'm going to let's see here. Who's first? Let's start with LaChelle, since she's right over me. So LaChelle, when it comes to all the protesting, the rioting and destroying of the properties and homes that we're hearing about, What are your thoughts? What does this play a part of when educating your children? And do you think this is a solution to the problem of injustice for the Black and brown race? What are your thoughts on that?
Okay, so quite a few questions there, but we'll take them one at a time. In terms of the protesting, I think that in terms of how I talk to my children about it, is that everyone is entitled to express their voice in a way that they feel comfortable with. Some people are protesters, some people like to open up conversations, some people want to get on a panel just as this. And so I think there's no cookie cutter way to say that if you are really pro Black Lives Matter, you need to be outside protesting. Everybody has a different approach. And I noticed that just with raising a household of different personalities myself. So I think it's a matter of people following their own inner voice. In terms of the rioting, I think that it is just a byproduct of a lot of people sometimes not being educated about coping strategies and ways to handle injustice, anger, not knowing who the decision makers are. And I think it's just somewhat of a little bit of a lack of our education in helping people come together on a platform that will get results, you know. So I think it's a byproduct of people expressing that they want things to change, but just not knowing how.
So when it comes to your children and educating them, like, because they're seeing this, I mean, because I know you have all different ages. So how are you handling that with them?
Well, in terms of, when they ask questions, I am very open to explain that not everybody handles situations the same way. And to me, this is a polarized event. And to be honest, I have to deal with this every day. It's not always protesting or rioting, but it's like, hey, mommy, this person was calling me names on the video game, or right now that's their world, is being on the video game, or one of their siblings is doing something. So to explain to them that they have to be in control of how they respond is something that I always instill in them anyway. So it's a thing to where we just talk about how different people express things different ways, and we have to figure out how we want to express things. So just because somebody's doing it one way doesn't mean we look down on them or feel like we're any better, but we just talk about the situation and what are the consequences. If you see somebody's rioting, what does that mean to you? You are a store owner, and you go to work and you come in the next day and somebody has destroyed your property for whatever reason. So we talk about those type of things so that they can think on their own. That's not right. Not that I'm kind of projecting my insight on them. I want them to be able to think for themselves. I hope that answers your question.
No answer is a bad answer.
Mm-hmm.
Good. I'm loving it. Thank you so much, LaChelle.
Mm-hmm.
So now I want to go to April. So April, we have all been hearing the term Black Lives Matter every time this type of injustice happens. And then right after that, we hear All Lives Matter. So do you think by people stating that as being a Black mother with interracial children, how do you explain the injustice to your children and give a tip to the audience, and how would you go by doing that?
Sorry, I had to unmute myself. So the way that we explain to our kids about injustice in general is we really take it back to history. And so I remind them that from the get-go in the Bible, that there has always been some sense of injustice, of hatred. I mean, you look at Moses and what they went through, they were enslaved. And, we are faith-based in my family. And so we tell them that this has happened in our history, and unfortunately it's continuing to happen. But luckily, when the system is broken, just like the system is broken right now, there is an end to it, and there are things that are taken into place to make it better. Now, is it going to be perfect? No, but I can see that there are going to be things that, because of what's happened and because of the volume of people speaking out and protesting and caring about, Black lives, there will be changes. Will they be huge changes? I don't know, but I know that there will be changes every single time in our history that there's been injustice, whether it's Moses in the Bible or Germany and the Jewish people. Like, it has stopped, and there have been positive changes that have come through that. And so we really just try to teach all of our children, because they are, mixed race, that, like LaChelle said, we all have a choice. We all have a choice to how we're going to behave when things happen. Our response, that's a choice. We can riot, or we can get angry and blow stuff up, or we can do things like we're doing right now and talk about it. And we try to teach our children that those coping strategies, like LaChelle said, you get angry about this situation, or even someone's picking on you at school for whatever reason, we give them the coping strategies to deal with it, instead of being one of those people that unfortunately didn't get taught those and are rioting and doing things that are causing more hatred and more destruction, instead of rebuilding and reconnecting people. So it's all about the choices that you make. And I just encourage anyone that's a parent out there, whether you have a mixed family or not, teach your children the coping strategies to deal with these things, because whether it's this thing that happened, there's always going to be things that come up in their lives, and they're going to have to learn how to cope with them. They're going to have to learn how to deal with them, whether it's they're teased because of their race, or maybe they have a disability. We have to be strong parents and teach them how to stand up for themselves, but in the right way.
Awesome, April. Thank you so much. So I want to ask the panel too, because I want to make sure if anybody else has any take on some of the questions I'm asking each individual lady, you can get 1 minute to do that. So just going back to April's question, because maybe somebody else want to answer this too. They're always talking about Black Lives Matter, but then they turn around and say, well, all lives matter. Do you think that's decreasing the focus at this time, when people just throw out right after that, all lives matter? Because if all lives matter, Black lives have to matter too, right? Does anybody want to kind of talk a little bit about that?
I want to say that your perspective is your reality. Your perspective is your reality. To you, whoever you are, all lives do matter. To Black folks, our lives matter, as well as everybody else's. But our lives matter because we have been the ones on the bottom of the totem pole for so many years, and we've been stepped on, looked over, had to answer the same question twice, reiterated, backed up, backed forward. We've heard the story after story about our children, our dads, our uncles, our cousins, our loved ones, male or female, being pulled over with no reason at all. I heard a story that broke my heart a week ago about a man, and he shared this on Facebook, so I'm not saying something that's private, about him in his vehicle in a state, downstate, southern state rather. This was years ago. He was a younger man then, he's older now. And he was pulled over by the police. This man was molested, you all. They put a glove on and they went inside his private parts to feel around, supposedly for drugs. They never told him why he was pulled over. They checked his car, and it broke my heart. Why? Because I'm thinking about my own husband, who travels to Alabama by car frequently. My child, my son, my nephews, my extended sons, every Black man, even myself. I told my husband, if I'm somewhere by myself and I see that little blue light in the window, I'm Googling the nearest police station or firehouse or some emergency place. I don't know if I'm stopping. just because that's just me. But your perspective is your reality. If you have not been exposed to anything but your world, Black people actually can say, it's just my life that matter. Because you don't realize, there's so much more that's going on. But no, all lives do matter. But I'm gonna tell you, if you can't really, if you back up the statement, somebody says Black Lives Matters and your response was, well, all lives matter, something's not right. Or should I say, you have a part of the story and it's about your world only and not the full perspective about what's going on today and what has been perpetuated years and years and years prior to 2020. That's all I have to say with that. And if you see me writing, it's because I'm writing notes, some of the wonderful comments that the women are making so that I can add on.
Awesome. See, knowledge is power. See, we're representing and we're proving it in the example of all these ladies. Take those notes. So thank you, Tonya, for expressing more on that, because a lot of people said that they feel like when they say all lives matter right after that, that they're kind of decreasing what needs to be shown right now. It's like, okay, now you're putting us back under this rug again or under this carpet because you're throwing something else out there. So, it's good. All lives do matter, but we have to right now, we're still dealing with that. So thank you so much for expressing that. So now I want to go to Miss Dr. Mabel. Oh, I just can't believe we just got history here. First of all, happy birthday. I don't know if I said that, expressed that to you. So I want to make sure I do that first.
Happy
birthday.
Thank you. It was on Friday, but I'm looking forward to you. I appreciate that so much. How thoughtful of you.
No problem. So question to you, Miss Dr. Mabel. As the CEO and founder of Cherish Dreams Counseling, Inc. and studied early childhood education, what role do you see the schools at all levels to increase the awareness of the challenges regarding injustice and non-equality for many, many years? And do you think Black history should be taught as a requirement, not as this elective? Give me your feedback on that.
Okay, well, first of all, I retired approximately 15 years ago. However, I have 19 grandchildren, like I said, and these are not babies. Some of these kids are old as I am. The oldest is 30. So I've been here for a minute. When you're speaking about the schools, I think that the schools are doing something, and that very first thing that they're doing that will address this and does address this is the anti-bullying. That right there, just putting that in place helped a little. The environment in which children grow up, that is going to affect them for the rest of their life. Parents have to take time to demonstrate to their children how important it is for them not to ridicule anyone, not only because of their color or their race, but also because of anything else that's going on with them. I think that the schools definitely have a responsibility, and I don't know, I always think that the very first teachers that children have is named mommy and daddy. That is the very first one. And I taught kindergarten first for 9 years and went all the way up to 4th and 5th grade. So you can see that. I think that what we can do right now is we need a heart change. That's what we need. We need a heart change. We need a mind change. And we need to use our mind to heal people. As I watched the marching, I was excited at first when I first saw them protesting. I was like, okay. And this was different from what we saw in Newark because this was a whole multicultural thing. It wasn't just Black, and in Newark, it was just Black. So we saw people who disagree as well. And I've definitely approved of the march. The problem came when I saw the looting and everything, because we tore up our neighborhoods, we tore up our houses, we tore up things that we needed to survive. We tore those things up. So even though we're now peaceful, you still got to think about that and the broken hearts of the people who were just coming out of the COVID-19, and then you saw this happen. But back to the question, I haven't lost track, is what can the schools do? The schools are doing a lot. I mean, a whole lot. But one of the things that is really important is that we teach them the same thing that we're teaching them at home. And you can put them together. You have the opportunity, you're with them more than the parents. So you have an opportunity to be able to deal with the race issue if it is an issue. When people come into the class of different races, different cultures, different backgrounds, you can include that. And yes, double yes, Black history should be a part of history, period. It should not be Black History Month, white history, green, purple, rainbow. It should be a part of history. We need to know where we came from, how we got here, and more importantly, what can we do to make it better? That's extremely important. Did I answer your question sufficiently, or did you have more for me?
Well, first of all, you are so wonderful. Yes, you answered it, Dr. Mabel. I just wanted to just express a little bit what you said. Yes, the Black history should be in the schools. And I brought that up because when I was growing up, when I was in high school, I didn't see, it wasn't elective. It's like, okay, you can take it if you want to, like one of those extra courses. The only thing that they mentioned, everybody knows Dr. Martin Luther King. It's kind of sad that there's so many other leaders and there's so many inventors of Black and brown people out there that we don't even get to look at or read about or anything because they don't put it in our schools.
Right.
Yeah. So that's why I wanted you to kind of have a take on that, because I had a talk with another friend of mine that's non-Black and brown, and she was like, I was raised in an all-white school. She's same age as me. No, she's a little bit younger than me. She's in her 40s, late 40s. And she said, so there was really no need. She said they didn't even talk about, Black kids or anything because they probably felt there was no need to because we're all white. And that was like, OMG. So
right. And I never heard of Black history. I mean, if you think you haven't heard of it, and I'm this age, I never heard of Black history. And Martin Luther King up north, we didn't hear a whole bunch about him. So when I became a teacher, I went outside of the box and I started grabbing other people that the kids had never heard of. And I dared them to do a Martin Luther King report. We're not going to do that. We knew what it was. But yeah, we need to know about, and there's people that inspire you, that help you to be all that you can be. And if you can hear about that, then you would know, and then you can go in that direction and you won't be so afraid. Because if someone has gone before you, then you can absolutely know that you can do it. And I dropped out of school at 16 and got a doctorate at 60. So it can definitely be done. You have to be focused, and you need mentors. You need people to say, go, 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 go. Otherwise, you'll give up. So we do need to know about our background. We do need to know Black and brown people that went before us. That's very important.
I'm glad that you said that over again, Dr. Mabel, because a lot of people think, I've been hearing this too, well, we keep talking about the past, we need to move on to the future. Well, you can't really move if the past still seems, it is the present right now. We haven't really, it's like we went around in a circle. So yeah, so we can't forget that because we still have a lot of work to do. Okay, Dr. Mabel, so I'm gonna go next to Ms. Tonya.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so you kind of hit a little bit about this, but I know you can get some deeper into this. As we all witnessed the video concerning the murder of George Floyd, with the police officer having his knee on his neck, and we've been hearing that they have t-shirts on everything now. And it's been taken as symbolizing that our Black and brown race has been feeling this way for a while now. As a mother with a son, what feedback would you give to other mothers out there that truly fear for their sons, having to explain the situation to them of what just happened?
Well, I guess I want to start off by saying that fear is something that could choke the truth. And if we don't take the time to assess as the parent how to speak to our children, not in fear, but in the truth, then we're gonna not we're going to find ourselves not being able to speak to them with objective thought, but it'll be in fear. I don't want you to go anywhere. Now you're going to go outside. It's after 12 o'clock. I can't. My son's 20, will be 22 in December. He hasn't been in our home steadily living for the past 2.5 years because he's been away at college. He's been at the Paul. He calls. He, touches base. When he first went away to college, we had already had an experience with our daughter going, but so I can say this, when our children went off to school, it was time for them to go because we had prepared them for their next step. And I'm glad to say that. I'm glad to be a part to see that I now know what that feels like, seeing your child go off to college or move into that next level, that next phase in their lives after they've left high school. But as it pertains to my son, again, very forward thinker, a leader by his own right. My son is no punk. He does his homework. He knows more history than I do. I'm gonna be honest. He introduced me to a lot of things. Mom, look up this. Mom, take a look at that. He said something to me about a year to a year and a half ago, and I was sitting and I was at work, and after hours, because I'm live, I'm after hours and doing my lunch, I was starting to watch this documentary called The Reconstruction of America. It was narrated by Henry Louis Gates, 4-part series. Oh my goodness. I learned all kinds of stuff in that 4-part series. And to take in that information, I was so enlightened that it even helped me understand what my son is going to be dealing with in this day. Because even though the year changed, they never intended. This country, when I say they, I'm talking about this country, never intended for Black folks to succeed or arise. The system was not set up for us at all. So I think that's another reason why we can say that as a Black woman, as a Black man, my life matters too. Because when we say all lives matter, all includes what I think the human race. I'm human and I'm a part of this country, so my life does matter. We get that. But backtracking, this country was never intended for me to be included in at all. And they still don't in some cases, a lot, because of the way we've been treated. So no, I don't want to be speaking to my child, or whether if he was 12 or younger now, in fear. I would want to first have the conversation with myself and talk to him with truths. This is what you have to do. This is what you look out for. And it cannot be in fear. And I hope I answered your question.
Everybody's so sweet. They always ask me, did I answer my question? These are your viewpoints, your perspectives, so it is the right answers. But I want to see if anybody, now Tonya mentioned something, and I want to just go back to this, which is very important. And I know this was talked about a little bit on Saturday with the men, is that about, the system was set up, seemed like it was set up for us to fail already, because they put different laws, still some laws out there. I mentioned one on Saturday about Amendment 13, where there's a loophole there. There's probably a lot of loopholes in a lot of the amendments. So with that, does anybody want to express a little bit on that, about how it just seemed like the system that we have in the United States for Black and brown people, it seemed like it was already set up for us to fail? Do you agree or disagree, or you want to comment on it?
I would say that one of the things that I try to be mindful of is knowing what you can and cannot control. So just like we have this system that we are aware is broken, okay, in a lot of places, it's just something that is. And I want to bring up the point that Tonya said earlier about your perspective is your reality. And the issue I think where we're at now is I just can see this a lot in my own life, suffering from depression. I went through this whole thing of this victim mindset where I felt like everything was happening to me. I didn't understand the accountability that I could take or the awareness in my own life to empower myself. And when you feel like things are happening to you, it's like, you have no power. You are stuck at the mercy of your oppressor changing the situation for you. And with that transition in my own life, it now gives me a different perspective to recognize that however we got here, we're here. Moving forward, we have to have a different approach. And so, we can look over the patterns in history about how, we've had protests before, we've had riots, we have certain things, and it has brought us forward in a different view. However, we still are having some of these same patterns repeat themselves. And one of the things, like I explained to my children, is the concept of personal accountability. I could say something that may not be well received by everybody here, but I could see one of my kids being the oppressor and one of my kids being the victim. In this scenario that we watch with, Mr. Floyd, right? And I'm not saying that it to the point of death, but there are times where I could be working in the other room. One of my kids is hitting the other one. And am I going to love the one who hit the one any less than the one that got hit? So I think in the mindset of a mother, it's all about seeing the human and the character of the person first before, regardless of what color skin they are. And I think I'm able to somewhat have that approach because I think also within my own life and my own healing that we could say that this man is guilty. We've all witnessed it. But what about his wife? What about his children? How are they going to feel when they see this? And we could say, well, they should have thought about that. But even the mindset of, law enforcement, we want to just lash out at law enforcement. But how many of you guys are parents and you got the same rules? One of your kids is just not going to listen to the rules. They're a rebel without a cause. They get to be a teenager. They don't listen to curfew. So we've all been there where people are individuals and they have a mind to follow their own volition, whatever that is. And so we can't make everybody responsible for somebody else's crime. We have to kind of take it on a case by case basis. And I get that. I think the more we make it for the masses, the more it's a situation for all of us. Because I know that we have seen some injustices, but I have never been pulled over. I have never been treated, inappropriately for being pulled over because of the kind of car I was driving. And I'm African American. So I think sometimes we just lump everybody in the same situation. And I get that there is a lot of injustice going on, but it's the same thing, even like this virus. We talk about the coronavirus. I still haven't been sick. I'm wearing my mask. So we are going to have some people that reality is not going to be theirs. And so I think we have to be in a place to where we can come to a conversation and a dialogue about where we working on going to, because sometimes when you are stereotypical about some things, it can go for you and against you. So it's like we feel like we're all lumped in the same situation, but we're doing the same thing that we feel the oppressor is. So I think we need to kind of begin to separate people and take it on a case by case basis so that we can move forward and begin to kind of break down a lot of those stereotypes that keep us stuck where we are today.
I was on mute. Good point. Good points. Thank you, LaChelle, for breaking that down. Yes. And, you know, I'm glad that you said that because this is going to go to Latisha's question. It kind of goes into this about compassion, giving compassion. So, Latisha, I just want to ask you, you know, with compassion, and people always say we got to show compassion, show compassion. How would you explain to your children about showing compassion, not only to, you know, the Black and brown race, because they're part of that race, but also compassion to the non-Black and brown? And even we talked about police and everything. With everything going on, how do you explain to them that we still have to show that?
Um, you know, my kids' ages range from now 27 down to 10. I have 3 girls that are the oldest, and my 10-year-old is the only boy. And over their lives, they've never ever known about color. Like, I've taught them to just love people for who they are. If no one is mistreating you, no one's, bullying you, no one's talking bad to you, just, treat people how you want to be treated is how I basically told them to behave. So growing up, I think the first time my daughter came across sort of racism, she was 17 years old. It was her first job, and she didn't know how to act. She didn't know how to take that. But because we had always, because I've never put that in front of them. So, she was like, Mom, this incident happened and, I don't know how I feel about it. So we had to talk about it. And I just, at that point with my 17-year-old, her being the oldest, is where I had to begin to explain to her. So let me explain to you these types of differences. This is how the world is made up on. I understand that, your mom hasn't really put you in those predicaments where you've had to incur that over your life. But sometimes you will have people who feel that you are not supposed to be here. You should not serve, you should not be their cashier at Jewel, and she just didn't know how to react. But after us talking about it, she had a better understanding of it. With my 10-year-old, him being the only boy and just helping him, like everyone said on here, when we're dealing with, him and his sisters fighting, people bullying at school, I've had to encounter all of those things. But what I try to teach them is control the controllables. Control what you control. I'm always telling them, you be the leader, you set the example, you show other people how to be treated. So when I'm putting things like that in front of each and every one of them, it's like, don't feel like you are any less deserving. You can go after anything that you set your mind to. If you wanted to be a doctor, a lawyer, a police officer, an entrepreneur, whatever it is that you want to do, don't let anyone else tell you that you're not deserving of it. So I just teach them all to have, talking to my now 16-year-old who went to go get her driver's license today. Pray for me. But she was just, so where we used to live, she didn't have a lot of friends that were of African American. But now we've moved to, when I put her in her new school, the first thing she said was, Mom, the diversity here is so great. Because I've taught her just love everyone as you want someone to love you. Care for everyone as you want someone to care for you. Treat everyone as you want someone to treat you. And if someone else is mistreating you, then let's talk about it. I never want my kids to be someone out here, rioting, doing those type of things, and like LaChelle said, we can teach them what we can teach them at this age, but as they grow older and develop their own mind, they will follow whatever they feel to follow. You can teach them everything, the right things to. I have 2 girls who told me, I can't wait to move out when I turn 18. And they back at home right now. But, it's just because, I try to instill different things into them, growing up, rules, regulations, giving you things to help you cope as you get older. But, it's just that, let me just get out here and see the world for how I want to see it. But when you get out there and you realize it ain't all you thought it was cracked up to be.
Right.
Then you coming back home. So I just teach them, just have compassion for everyone. If no one is completely mistreating you, then like I say, always treat them the way you want to be treated as well.
They do come back. They do come back, y'all.
Come back, LaChelle. They do come back. And you know, and I would say to a certain degree, you know, it's good, but you know, it is good to have especially now with COVID-19 going on. I don't have to worry about where they are. You know, my daughter and her son lived on their own, but now I have everybody under one roof. You know, and now I know where everybody is right now. I know nobody's sick in my household. You know, yes, they go to work. We have a system. When they go to work, they come back in. But, you know, for right now, this is what is working. But, you know, talking to them regarding the incidents and things that are currently going on in the world today, I don't even know if there's a good word to truly describe it. It's just, you know, it's unnerving. And I thought about the police officer, his wife and his kids. I was like, you know, what type of father was he to his kids to now see their father in this type of light? You know, it's disheartening. It's so sad to see that played out on national TV. First of all, your kids will always have that vision of their father. It will never, ever go away. So whatever you tried to teach me growing up, you ruined it on national TV. And that's just my opinion. Yeah. So, you know, I just pray for all of our children. I pray that everyone, you know, if we want to protest, that we protest peacefully. Everyone is entitled to their opinion. Everybody is entitled to their freedom, but control the controllables. Control what you can control, and most likely you can control yourself and your actions and your reactions.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Latisha. See, there's so much good information. Woo! So now that the time's getting near, because I knew it's going to happen to me again, because it happened to me on Saturday, because it's just so good. So what I want to ask the ladies, if you don't mind staying on just for maybe 5 more minutes, because I have one main question. I want one person to answer it. And then I want each of you to take 1 minute to talk about, okay, what do we do? What are your thoughts about moving forward? So give your tip or idea of what you think moving forward looks like in a minute, okay? But this one question I want to give strictly to Dr. Mabel, because of her, I just want to hear this, because this has been stated a lot, Dr. Mabel. What is white privilege? A lot of people, now the Black and brown people, we understand, but it seems like everybody that's not our race is kind of now in this like, I don't get it, I don't understand what you're talking about, white privilege. I don't even know what that is about. So can you give like just a 1 minute of giving them or explain just a little bit more of what that means? Uh-oh, she's on mute. Let's see.
Okay, am I good?
Yeah, you're on mute. Okay, you're good.
Okay, I'm in a church where it at one point was predominantly white. It's now mixed. I've been in that church for 7 years. So I have a totally different perspective, because many times I'm the only Black person in my small group. But I don't care how many people that you interact with, whether you're Black, brown, or whatever color, you're going to find that people will have this feeling that I'm better than you, or why are you even here? And what we saw, what I saw was a mass exodus. And that was people who said, I don't want to be with them. And that was okay, because we did not want you to be with us either. However, when I'm here, white privilege, it makes me think about people who have everything. They don't understand the concept of you not being able to get a job, or you're not able to get a good job, or you don't have the education because you had to stop to help the family out, or anything that might happen. Even with the prison system, that if you get locked up and you're Black, you're more than likely going to forget about a job or anything else that you might get. But you can have, on the same token, someone that we would perceive as white privilege that will go to jail, come out, and have the best job ever. Okay, so that to me would mean anything that a white person can have that people of color cannot have. That's what I consider white privileged. And one last thing, to me, when people speak to you, I listen, maybe. But when speaker, you need to differentiate. This is what I want you to remember. Differentiate when people speak to you or people speak into your life. Those are two totally different things. When they speak to you, that's cool. Let it go. But when you allow people to speak into your life that you're not good enough because of this race or because of this or because of that, then there's a problem. So it can be white privilege. I got that. But it also can be Black privilege as well. But I do understand what you're saying. I haven't had a lot of experience in being up north. I've been here about 36 years, 38 years, and I've not had a whole bunch of experiences, but I certainly have where I was surprised because I didn't know that you were going to be mean to me and I didn't do anything to you just because I'm brown. So I have had some experience. But that to me, just remember, let people speak to you, but don't let them speak into your life. When you have a direction that you're going in, move it, keep it moving. Don't even look back, keep moving, and you can succeed, and you will. Ooh, did I answer your question?
I like
I'm speechless. I don't even know. After that, it's like the mic just dropped. But yes, that's why I wanted to answer that question. I knew it was going to be
that was good.
Awesome. Now, just before we get into everybody doing their 1 minute of where should we go from here, did anyone just for like maybe it's half a minute here want to say anything else about the white privilege, or we're good? Because I feel like Dr. Mabel stopped, but go ahead, LaChelle.
I just want to say that, we have to kind of expand our mindset about that. One of the things that I noticed just with my kids doing e-learning during this pandemic, a lot of times privilege is just, again, the perspective from where you are. We have several kids that were in elementary and some of them didn't have internet access, so it's like we're going to the same school. We have internet access, but we forget that there's people that don't. So I think the mindset of privilege, it is really on a case by case basis, because there's many of things, even people just assume because we have a large family that there's certain things that we don't have that we do have. And so vice versa. So I think privilege can be a number of things that, when you're looking from a space of gratitude, you recognize that you have more blessings than what you think you did or didn't have before. And so I think that mindset of privilege, yes, I don't want to minimize some of the opportunities that maybe people in different races may be exposed to. But we also just have to begin to look through a different lens of, what resources do we have? Use what you have to get where you want to go, and don't let that be a hindrance for you moving forward.
Amen.
Thank you, LaChelle, for adding that to it. Thank you. Okay, now we're going to go into our 1 minute for each person. So question is, where do we go from here? So just any tip or idea of where we should go from this point on. So I'll start with April.
So I think that it's just important for, like we all said, the foundation of your children is your family, the parents that they grew up with, the people that are in the home. Before the kids are in elementary school, in a school system, they're at home. They're learning our language. They're learning what we like, what our family values are, and it really starts with the parents. And for us, what we do is we teach our children that color is more than just people, right? So when God created the earth is beautiful. There's flowers that are different colors. There's animals that are different colors. The earth itself is blue and green, and there's mountains that are brown. And so when you're teaching kids, parents about that, start with things they understand as a little one. God loves color. It's everywhere you look. It's in the people, yes, but it's also in everything that he created. And I think that once you change their mindset to view color in a completely different way, then maybe they won't have these issues with skin color. It's such a small thing compared to everything else that has color. Our food is colorful. The food that's good for you has
Right.
color.
Mhm.
And so that's just my tip, is just to change the way that you're explaining it to the young ones.
Mhm.
I love it. I love that
That's
concept.
great.
Thank you, April. That was good. And you made me think of broccoli for something. I don't know why, but I was thinking about broccoli. I don't know. I got a taste for broccoli for some reason now. This, okay. we'll go to Latisha.
I definitely agree with April wholeheartedly. You know, the tip I can say is continue to pray, continue to, you know, seek guidance, continue to become educated, continue to be an educator, continue to bring awareness, continue to communicate with your families, continue to communicate, you know, on your behalf, continue to build out on your foundation, you know, just continue to, you know, bring that type of awareness into your household. Don't be scared, as we so many of us talked about, to talk about what's going on. That's the only way we can educate our children right now, so that they are even well equipped as they go out into the world on their own. You know, like I said, my 16-year-old got her license today, so someday, whatever day I decide, she'll be out, you know, driving on her own. But, you know, I need to know that I've equipped her with, you know, in the event something happens, you know, let me show you what you need to do. Let me talk to you. If you feel that you're unsafe, let me put some measures and things in place for you to do. Like Tonya said, you know, if a police officer is pulling her over, then, you know, if she doesn't feel comfortable with that, then I want you to have a measure in place. So that comes with, you know, communicating, educating, and being an educator.
Good tips. Good tips. Okay, since you mentioned Tanya, I'm going to go to her next. Tanya, where do we go from here? What's your take?
Yeah, this is really solely my own opinion. I have no clue. I wake up every day thanking God I'm alive today. I have to tell myself, stay woke, girl. Stay encouraged. If you cry, you cry. Just breathe. These are self-talks, because I don't know. There's so much going on. There's so much on the table. There's so many conversations taking place. And sometimes I'm like, I say, I have to say to myself, I don't want to hear another conversation about race, riots, political, nothing. Because my goodness, can we talk about something happy? Because we walk around, we can't even go into a grocery store. We got to wear a mask. I can't see your face. I barely understand anything you're saying. I'm all up. It's just too much. I'm telling my heart, I'm telling you how I feel. This is me personally, Tanya speaking. I can't speak to anybody else's world. This is my world. It's just much. So I don't know where. There's a whole lot on the table. I told my husband, I said, this world, this America was on the tipping scale anyway. It was waiting for an opportunity. George Floyd, I mean, we were already there racially. We were already there. So George Floyd happened and everything went. But with that being said, I did take some notes to say real quick. Yes, we are our children's first teachers as parents. Totally agree with that. And I used to say that all the time when my children were small. Privilege, let's talk about the different levels of that. So thank you, LaChelle. So true, because there's many levels of privilege. So we hear about white privilege. Let's talk about privilege in and of itself from every perspective. Trusting and knowing how we teach our children how to treat everyone. Did I say that right? Teaching our children how to treat everyone as human, treat them as you would want someone to treat you. Praying, Lord have mercy. Pray, y'all. That's all. We need to stay on our knees. We need to hear the Lord's voice. What to do next? Because if we don't hear his voice, all we're doing is it's just a whole bunch of rhetoric and it's a whole bunch of talk. So we need to stay before the throne room, in the throne room, before the face of God to hear what's next, because his plan is perfect. Somebody say amen. His
Amen.
plan. And
Amen
lastly,
to that.
I want to take my hat off to Miss Mabel. Did you just say that you got a PhD at 60?
Right.
I
Look,
did.
That's
let
what
me
I'm
say
talking
this. All I want to say for every Black and brown child that could be listening to this live right now, don't tell me what you can't do.
Mhm.
I'm just
Amen.
saying.
Amen to that.
Hats off to you ladies.
Amen
your
to
That's
that.
good.
comments.
Yes. Another
Don't
mic
tell
drop.
me what you can't do.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Okay, let's move
She
it on.
encouraged me.
I
She
know.
encouraged me.
Now I'm thinking about saying, okay, I'll go back and get mine.
I ain't got no excuse.
No,
I ain't got no excuse to be a progressive thinker, to be a
Mhm.
progressive thinker.
Mhm.
And she's 60. She got that.
She's over 60 and she got that.
You understand
That's
what
awesome.
I'm saying?
Yeah.
No,
So let's move on to, so now we're talking about Miss Dr. Mabel. Give us a small tip on how to move, what should we do moving forward?
Okay, I'm sitting here and I'm listening, and I'm hoping that most of you will get to be my age, because you will be so chilled, so chilled. I was listening to the young lady, and I forgot her name, the one with the African attire on, and she was saying that she didn't know. Well, for me, I never worried about anything. I don't worry about anything. While I'm inside my house. I'm 74. And I'm one of those people. Even my pastor said, well, we're going to open up on the 14th. And some of you, that have age, I was like, no, you didn't. No, you didn't. But what I feel like now, while people were falling off and doing this, I took 19 classes and got 3 certifications. Okay, I don't watch the news. That's not who I am. I get an hour of news every day. I know what's going on, and I go, what? No, he didn't. Really? And then I put Barney Fife on. Okay, I watch the old movies that keep me going. But you're asking what next? My counseling is community-based, and the most important thing in my life, if I could have one thing, is our children. We have frightened children out there right now that you don't know about because they're little. They're pre-K to 10. They're scared. They see the fire. They don't know the distance. They don't know if it's coming to their house. They don't know what's going on. And when you're talking, they're listening. Unlike when we were growing up and you went out the room. Okay, my thing for this is talk to your children, the little ones. Go in their room at night, ask them what's going on. In the morning, check in with them, read them a story. A Bible story is great, but be with them, because some of those kids are not sleeping and you don't know because you sit on the bed. So you need to do that. But my thought for this is the one thing, and this is the truth, because I'm laughing when she says, well, my daughter's 21. Well, my granddaughter's 30. My children are 56, 53, and 52. So I've been here forever, I think. So I see where you're talking about all the things she's excited, and she's saying, well, she's getting her driver's license, and they probably took some of them. No, they didn't. Anyway, the fact is that she's excited, and we've always been there, but I've already been there. What you're doing in that house right now is going to affect your children. The environment in which your children grow up will affect them for the rest of their lives. When I'm counseling, they're talking about what happened when they were 5, 6, 7, 8. Some of you know, some of you don't. So that's my word for you. The environment in which children grow up affects them for the rest of their life. Pay attention to the little ones. Those are the ones, hug them, touch them every day. If I could go into every house and give them a hug and talk to them about what's going on, age appropriate, because they're seeing stuff. And we think children, people say all the time, children are resilient. That's not necessarily true. And right now I feel bad because I was widowed at 27 and I didn't counsel with the kids. They said, Mom, it's cool, but they're old now. But I don't know what could have happened had I had counseling for them, grief counseling, which I didn't know. And thank you so much for this opportunity to be able to share things with people and learn, because I've learned a lot. And Miss LaChelle, you're my baby girl. You know that. And now I got new babies because everybody else on here is my baby. Thank you so much for this opportunity. Did I answer your question?
You are just all so polite. I didn't get that on Saturday. It was just like whatever. Stop all over it. No, like I said, everything is good. I mean, I'm just soaking it all in. So now I want to go to LaChelle real quick for 1 minute for what she thinks, the next steps.
All right. So for me, being spiritual, like y'all, 15 kids can't make it without God. So the first thing I would say is we need to have forgiveness. If we go back in the scripture, the first murder occurred with brothers in the scripture. So we got to get back to the fact of realizing that we got to look at people through God's eyes.
Mhm.
And he's not looking at color because he created us all. He's looking at his children. And it's just simply as one child doing something to another child.
Mhm.
So one other perspective I want to give you is, there are plenty of doctors that are going through malpractice lawsuits. What would it be like if we just said, this doctor did this, we don't need any more doctors, or we just need to do something, to change that up. We got to be mindful of thinking about separating the pain from the situation in a way that makes sense, not letting our pain cause us to make decisions in the long run that affect more than just the person who was victimized at the time.
Right.
So I just use that just for us to put that in perspective, but we have to forgive. We have to forgive ourselves. It's not an easy thing. We want to place the burden on people that didn't have anything to do with history. We want to talk
Amen.
about history, but these people right here in front of us didn't have nothing to do with that history. They might have been a product of that mindset, but we have to begin to forgive so that we can move forward.
Amen.
Amen to that.
They just need us, in the White House to do everything. We could just, just get everything.
Pray and forgiveness.
They just need all of us in there. The guys from Saturday, us here, just, put it together. We just get a plan. But one thing I want to do, because I noticed there's one question out there, because we had like 13 people that were watching and some others. But I really want to make sure, I know with our time, but I hate to drop off without answering this question for him. So he said, what advice do you have our young African-American Black men out there? I have a 10-year-old listening to this conversation. I have my advice for him, but would like to hear from some of the panel. So this is really just, talking about the African-American male boy. And he's like, he knows probably what to say, but he's like, from our panel, did anybody give anything?
Did he listen to the testosterone version on Saturday? Is it a recorded? I'm not trying to be funny. I mean, there was a lot of good content from those men. And I'm one to say, I can speak into my son's life, but God knows I can't speak into it like his father can, or like a male can, because I'm not a man.
Right.
That's all I'm gonna say with that.
Yeah.
But I believe I do have words that I can encourage him and say, talk to your son, go over things with him and talk in truth, not fear, not hate. Speak in love to him and build him up in ways that this world will not. That's all I got.
I have something for Mr. Gibbs.
Oh, is she free? Oh, she's there. Okay. Dr. Mabel, you can express it.
Okay, for me, that's Mr. Leonard Gibbs, am I correct?
Yep. Yeah.
Okay, I'm looking at him I remember I got two phones.
You're like me, I'm like.
Yeah, I like the talking part, but talking to me, when we talk, that's something that, you know, like I said before, that people speak to you and they speak into your life. I think, Dad, that the thing for that young man, that 10-year-old, he needs to see what you do. What do you do on Saturdays? What do you do after school? Do you have friends that you guys can hang out? We don't do those kinds of things anymore. You know, Dad is working, Mom is working, but there should be a dad time that you just take him, and it could be any time. And he know, I used to call it National Day, whatever day you pick to be with that child. So what I would think, what I would like to see you do is just have special time just for him. And if you got some buddies that have a couple of kids, or even if they don't, just let him see what it means to be a man, other than, you know, again, we say basketball and all of that. But I have checkers, and my grandkids said, "What is that, Nana?" I said, "Be quiet, go in the room." I got a whole room set up with games in it that nobody does. Nobody knows how to play it. And they're like, "What is that, Nana?" So take him out and let him hang out with you sometime, or play checkers if he knows what that is, show it to him. And spend time with them. I think that time is one of the most valuable things that you can give to your son, is time, your time. That's special. And that would be my advice. And I've been asking men, we have so many programs, and I'm involved in one where we work with girls. What is it that we do with boys? We need some men mentors out there. We need men. I ask them all the time, and they're like, "Oh, but we need men to do what we do for girls. Because when we finish doing it for the girls and the boys don't know it, we got a problem." Yep. But you need to teach the boys what we're teaching the girls.
Now, and one thing I would add to that too is, I think he said his son wanted to be a police officer, and we had this same situation. I want to say it was like 3 years ago. In our family, one of our kids wanted to be a policeman. We had this racial stuff going on. So we reached out to the police department. We hosted a dinner for them. We also got a gospel artist, Isaac Curry, who joined us, and we had a dialogue with the policeman. Because you know, it's crazy if you have a son that aspires to be something, but you have this racial thing, and you know, because of one person's incident. So we were able to allow them to engage directly with the cops, ask them the questions, and talk about it in a dialogue. And it was a blessing to be able to do that. So I would say, you know, reach out to some officers, let them go, have a visit, you know, talk to them, because, you know, ignoring things and not bringing it up, putting stuff under the rug is definitely not a good way to handle it. So while we are in a place where we're listening, is a good time to start the conversations.
That mute button it always gets it. So hopefully that answered, is it Leonard Gibbs? Yeah, his questions. Those were some good answers. And I love the part about bringing men, you know, all men together and doing things besides just the normal stuff that they do, and have those talks, because that's what it's all about. And that said, I know I want to thank you all, Queens, because I know we went way over the time, but it was just so much good information. And I know that the people out there listening to it, they're going to get a lot out of it, because I did, just sitting here, just listening to each and every one of you, especially from a standpoint of a parent to a child. And that's what I really wanted to bring home tonight, because they're our future. The children are our future, and we have to make sure, you know, that we are teaching them, raising them, telling them the truth. I love Tonya because she's a straight shooter. That's why I really wanted her to be on too, because she's a straight shooter. She's gonna say, just like she said, look. And we all had to, you know, you get to that point. I mean, I know guy Barry on Saturday, he's like, I'm just gonna tell everybody I'm tired. He just said it. And you know, we're humans. We do get tired. And you know, you get tired, like what the word is, you get sick and tired of being sick and tired, you know. So and we have to express that, and if people see and listen and just see that, yeah, hey, we're doing our perspectives here. This is where we're at right now. So and then just take the time to say, what do we do? What's the next thing to do? So thank you, ladies, for being on this panel this evening. And just to let everybody know that Saturday is the third part of this 4th series. And I'm bringing the men back, but this time it's going to be different men, and it's going to be minorities of men. So it's going to be, you're going to see some Caucasians, some Blacks. I'm trying to get some Hispanics coming to me. I'm waiting on some of them to get back to me, but it's probably going to be like 7 altogether. So pray for me. Pray for me as a moderator that day, because you're talking about, and there's some strong, and a lot of the men that's coming in, they have some strong opinions and some strong voices. So, and that's one of the reasons why I wanted to bring it, because I want to hear from the other minorities now. I want them to hear what we're talking about, and I want to hear what they have to say. So with that, it's going to be at 4:00 Central Time. I had to remember that, on this Saturday, to hear that panel. And please reach out to these wonderful queens, I call them, if you have any other questions. I know each and every one of them would probably be glad to help you and give you more information on other questions about, children, dealing with that, or just anything else. There's a lot of knowledge right here in this room right here. So please just reach out to them. Ladies, I love each and every one of you. You're my new sisters, the ones I don't know that well. And Dr. Mabel, I'm going to be calling on you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I enjoy that.
Just to get you ready. I'm just letting you know. But no, each and every one of you. And April, Latisha, Tonya, thank you, my sister, from a long time. We've been knowing each other for so long. And then LaChelle, we partners in crime tonight. Thank you for getting other ladies here. So thank you so much. And this is all we have for tonight. Enjoy the rest of your evening. I just want to say one more thing. When you look at somebody, I said this on Saturday too, just remind everybody, you can tell me you love me, you care about me, you care about what, you're fighting for the cause and everything. But when you say you don't see color in me, then you're devaluating my value of who I am, because my color is a part of me. So I just want everybody to please remember that. Just because when you say you don't see color, that's the problem already. You're starting with that. So with that said, love everybody and see you on Saturday. And ladies, you have a nice evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good evening, ladies.
Have a great evening.